My name is Jessica. I'm 32 years old, and what I'm about to tell you is the hardest story I've ever had to share. It's about how I ruined my own marriage by asking for something I thought would make me happy. I ask for an open relationship. If you had seen my life 2 years ago, you would have thought I had it all. My husband, Marcus, and I lived in a cozy house in the suburbs. Nothing too fancy, but it had a little garden out back where he liked to grill on weekends, and I liked to plant flowers. We had stable jobs, steady paychecks, and enough money to travel once or twice a year. Not extravagant trips, just little getaways to the beach or a long weekend in another city. But we were happy. Marcus worked in finance, and I'm in marketing at a mid-sized company. We didn't care about who made more. We were a team, even though we both know he make more than me. He covered the mortgage and most of the big bills. I took care of groceries, smaller expenses, and things around the house. We split chores, shared laughter, and spent lazy Sundays curled up on the couch watching movies. He cooked dinner most nights because he got home earlier than I did, and I cooked on weekends. We had a rhythm, a partnership, a life that, on paper, looked perfect. Marcus wasn't just my husband, he was my best friend. We had deep conversations, inside jokes, and this sense of comfort that only comes when you truly trust someone. We talked about kids one day, though we weren't in a rush. We were still in our early 30s, still figuring out what kind of life we wanted to build. Looking back, I realize I had everything people dream of: stability, safety, love. But at the time, I told myself I was restless, maybe even bored. I didn't recognize the danger of that feeling or how quickly it could destroy everything. It all started on a Monday morning like any other. I walked into the office, juggling my coffee and laptop bag, when I noticed a new face in the department. He was tall, with this charming smile that seemed to light up the room. His name was Ethan. At first, it was harmless. He was just the new guy. We talked at the coffee machine, made small talk about projects. But he was funny, witty in a way that made conversations feel easy. Soon, we started having lunch together, just as colleagues. Then, one day, he asked if I wanted to exchange numbers, in case we needed to coordinate about work. I said yes. At first, the texts really were about work, deadlines, client updates, office gossip. But slowly they shifted. We started sharing personal jokes, late-night conversations about life, little confessions. He'd text me things like, "I can tell you're different from other people here. You really get me." It felt good. Too good. He noticed me in a way that Marcus, I thought at the time, hadn't in a while. Of course, that wasn't true. Marcus loved me deeply, but I let myself believe I was missing something. Soon, I was looking forward to Ethan's texts more than I should have. My phone would buzz, and I'd get this little thrill, this rush of excitement. At work, I'd catch myself glancing at him, imagining what it might be like to kiss him, to be with him. And that scared me, because no matter what I told myself, I was married. Marcus trusted me completely. And even though I hadn't done anything physical yet, I knew I was already crossing lines in my heart. But instead of pulling away, I came up with what I thought was a solution, a way to have both worlds. One night, Marcus and I were lying in bed, talking like we always did, and I asked him, almost casually, "Have you ever thought about open relationships?" He turned to me with a frown, like I'd just spoken another language. "No," he said. "Why would I want that? We're married. We have each other. Isn't that enough?" I laughed it off, pretended I was just curious. But the truth was, I was testing the waters. Over the next few weeks, I brought it up again and again. Each time, he shut it down. He said things like, "Jess, I don't need anyone else. You're my person." Or, "That sounds like a recipe for disaster." but I kept pushing. I told myself it was just a modern idea, that people were happier when they had freedom, that monogamy was outdated. I twisted every article I read online into proof that I was right, and I wore him down. After months of me bringing it up, sometimes in arguments, sometimes in soft, subtle ways, Marcus finally gave in. One night, he sat at the kitchen table, his hands folded, his face pale and tired. "Okay," he said quietly. "If this is really what you want, then fine. We can try it, but there have to be rules." Relief washed over me, followed by excitement. "What rules?" I asked quickly, eager to get them out of the way. He thought for a long time. Then he said, "Rule 1, whatever we do outside, we don't tell each other. I don't want details. Rule 2, we always come home at night. No matter what, we sleep in the same bed. Rule 3, we never fall in love with someone else." I nodded eagerly, promising I'd follow every rule. In my head, I wasn't worried. I just wanted the chance to be with Ethan without it being called cheating. That night, after Marcus went to bed, I texted Ethan, "We're good to start." From that moment, my life split in two. With Marcus, I was still the wife who made pancakes on weekends, who smiled at family dinners, who kissed him goodnight. But with Ethan, I was someone else, someone daring, reckless, free. We started going out, dinners, drinks, long nights at hotels. I told Marcus I was working late or out with friends. Sometimes I didn't even bother making excuses. I stayed out all night and stumbled home in the morning, smelling like perfume and guilt. The first few times, Marcus looked at me with sad eyes, but he didn't say anything. He just nodded, went to bed, and let me crawl in beside him. Ethan, meanwhile, was intoxicating. He made me feel desired, alive, special. Every touch, every kiss, every whispered word felt like an escape from the monotony of marriage. But what I didn't see, or maybe what I refused to see, was what it was doing to Marcus. While I was out chasing excitement, he was home alone. He wasn't seeing anyone else. He didn't want to. He just waited for me, night after night. And instead of feeling guilty, I convinced myself it was fine. I told myself, at least he's not out there catching feelings for someone else. At least I'm in control. For 6 months, I lived like that, a double life, and I thought I was winning. One morning, I came home after a night with Ethan. My hair was messy, my clothes wrinkled, my body still heavy with the weight of what I'd done. Marcus was sitting at the dining table, calm, too calm. "Sit down," he said. My heart pounded, but I sat. He looked me straight in the eyes and said, "I'm filing for divorce." I froze. "What? Why?" "I've already split our savings 50-50, he continued. "You can keep the house." "But this is over. I can't do it anymore." I started crying, begging, accusing him of breaking the rules. "You're seeing someone, aren't you? That's not fair. You said no feelings." He sighed, and it was the saddest sound I've ever heard. "You broke every rule, Jessica. You stayed out night after night. You didn't come home. You never asked me how I was doing. You didn't even notice when my mom got sick. She's been in the hospital for 4 months, with cancer, and I had no one to talk to, because you were too busy with your phone, with him." The words hit me like knives. His mom, cancer, and I hadn't noticed. He shook his head. "The only rule I broke was falling in love. And I don't regret it, because she's been there for me in ways you haven't for months." I begged him to stay, to give me another chance. I promised I'd end things with Ethan, that I'd change, that I'd be the wife he needed. But he stood, picked up a packed bag, and said quietly, "It's too late." For 6 months, we haven't been a couple. We haven't even shared the same bed. I'm done. And then he walked out. The moment the door closed behind him, panic set in. I called his phone over and over. No answer. I texted, begged, pleaded. Nothing. I called Ethan, desperate for comfort. He didn't pick up either. Finally, he sent a text. I can't do this anymore. I feel guilty, and I've met someone else. Goodbye. Just like that, both of them were gone. The fallout came fast. My boss noticed how distracted I was, how late I'd been, how many sick days I took. Within weeks, I was fired. My friends, most of them mutual with Marcus, pulled away after hearing what happened. Without Marcus's income, I couldn't keep the house. The mortgage payments piled up until I had no choice but to sell. I moved back in with my parents, who didn't hide their disappointment. My mom looked me in the eye and said, "You threw away a good man for a fling. I hope you realize what you've lost." I realized. Too late. Months passed. I stalked Marcus's social media, torturing myself with pictures of him smiling with his new girlfriend. She was younger, fitter, beautiful. And the way he looked at her, the way he smiled, was something I hadn't seen from him in years. A year later, they got engaged. I stared at the photo of her ring, tears streaming down my face, fury mixing with despair. I tried dating again, but nothing worked. Some men ghosted me after hearing why my marriage ended. Others used me for sex and left. None of them compared to Marcus. Every night, lying in my childhood bedroom at my parents' house, I replayed the moment I first brought up the open relationship. The moment I first gave Ethan my number. If I could go back, I would delete that text. I would shut down the thought before it grew. I would choose Marcus every single time. But regret doesn't rewind time. It only teaches you the lesson after the damage is done. If you're listening to this, let my story be a warning. Don't mistake comfort for boredom. Don't trade stability for temptation. And don't ever think an open relationship will fix what isn't broken. Marcus once told me, "Love isn't about freedom to chase everyone else. It's about choosing one person every single day." I didn't choose him, and because of that, I lost everything. Now, all I have left is the memory of the life I destroyed with my own hands.